Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 523 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm your host, as always. I'm Tyler. Join me. We have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Still kind of tired, but at the same point, I'm interested in talking about the Game Awards.
Oh, yeah. So, we are here. This is an extra special episode for you guys. If you're checking us out, oh, that's weird. Why are you posting this one on the middle of the week? Well, we did a regular show. Yeah, you missed it, 522. Checked it out. Came out a few days ago. But yeah, this is our. We do this pretty much. We started doing this really last year. We usually talk about it, but we started making its own little thing last year and actually kind of going category by category. And we were going to talk about the 2022 Video Game Awards and all the nominations. We're gonna go through it one by one, give our predictions and what we think, kind of what we want to win maybe, and what we think might win. So, yeah, that's why we are here. So, Gables, should we begin?
Yes, we shall.
All right, give me a second here, and I will click on this handy dandy button right here. Boom, and here we go. We see all the categories now. Gables and I. So Gables can see my screen here. You can see the screen here as well, people. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see all that. If you're an audio listener, you can still get through this one fine. But this one we will be going. We'll name all the stuff as well for you guys, but to make sure that you guys are able to know what's out there. But if you want this more, be a little more visual, so maybe check out the YouTube channel. Look down the show descriptions down below, and you will see said YouTube link down there, and also all the other links to all the other podcast services that we are on. But Gables, let's get into it here. We're just gonna skip all the esports stuff. I understand why it's there. I'm glad it's there. People get some recognition and stuff, but that is just not our bag. So let's start off here with most anticipated game here. So we have this is recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the game medium forward. So what we have here right now is we have Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, Starfield, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So kind of a weird list, I think. I think it's a pretty good list. I thought the Hogwarts Legacy initially was kind of like, why is that there? And not that I think the game's be bad or anything, but I'm like, man, there's so many other games out there. So I went through like a quick search for like what's kind of got 2023 release dates, or not even dates, but just 2023 as a date. And there's not a lot that officially have 2023 released as like a release year. So I was looking like, oh, there's Dead Space, there's Spider-Man 2's in there, but we haven't heard about that game since like last September. So it's been over a year now. So I'm sure a lot of people, when they voted, didn't even think about this. A lot of these games have been just kind of like, I mean, some of these games, like you look at, it's like these games we've been hearing about a lot, and you can't. I mean, you understand why they're here. So, I think, once I looked at it and it broke down, I'm like, no, yeah, that makes I can see that why that made the list. But yeah, I mean, looking at it here, Gables, what's your thoughts on what we got here for games?
Well, you know what? Initially, I had kind of the same reaction as you had and stuff like that. Hogwarts Legacy, I didn't really picture it as being like one of the games and stuff that would be like one of the most anticipated, but I can understand why it was nominated. Mm-hmm. But in regards to what we have in general, it's interesting because 4 out of the 5 here, I could argue that it could win like most anticipated in regards to some aspects, but when it comes to my personal thoughts of what may win this category in regards to the most anticipated, I'm struggling to go between 3 games here, and that's because of how hyped up one game is, which is Starfield. It's been in development for over how many years now?
They announced it 6 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point, I think 2017, so 6 years when it finally comes out for announcement. But yeah, it's been. This has been the lead development since what? When was Fallout 76? Was that 2017? So yeah, 6 years. Yeah. We wouldn't wait for this game at that point. Yeah. I think it's in the end, it's really between Zelda and Starfield. But I do. I'll admit personally, I did vote for these. I voted for Resident Evil 4 because that's personally what I'm most excited for of these 5 games. And I mean, I think 4 of these games are for sure. For me, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil 4, and Zelda are like for sure pickups for me. Starfield I'll try because it's on Game Pass, but I'm not like super pumped for that one personally. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if prediction, what I think will win, I think it's gonna be Zelda. But I think Starfield. I would not be shocked if Starfield won it. If any of the other 3 won it, I'd be surprised.
All right, so here's what I initially have thought. I actually kind of thought a little bit differently than you in regards to the two that may go between what I would personally go forth and like for the most anticipated, because you have Resident Evil 4 and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Because as much as Starfield has been touted and stuff and has been in development since this time, I still feel like that there is still a bunch of excitement, a bunch of buzz that probably is going to like eclipse Starfield in regards to some of the stuff. Like with the early part of the year with Resident Evil 4, I could see people wanting to go for it and say that's their most anticipated game
Yeah,
because it looks
it's so
great.
close. Yeah, so
It's
it's a
so
March.
close.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to agree with you, though, in regards to I kind of feel the same way that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to be that game that's going to be labeled the most anticipated because of the fact that when it was initially showcased and the title was revealed and stuff, and like how vague a lot of the stuff was portrayed and stuff, it definitely has that aspect of, hey, I want more of this. I want more of this. I want to see more. I want to see more gameplay. I want to know this and that and stuff. Because here's the thing, throughout every single one of the presentation for these games when they were initially released and stuff, well, in trailers that they were initially showcased and stuff,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16, that was a great trailer, I would admit. The first thing, it was kind of a little bit awkward at first, though. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy, yeah, that was a cool introduction and stuff like that. Resident Evil 4, holy fuck. When that
Yeah.
thing
The more we
initially go
see,
forth, the more we see,
ooh,
the more it looks fantastic.
yeah,
Starfield, when it first was released, it was kind of like, yeah, this is Starfield. You're like, yeah, just not too much like here or there. It's just the whole shock that Starfield is actually coming out on its damn system.
yeah,
Coming out
yeah,
is what got people going through and excited about it. But
yeah,
ever since the initial gameplay trailer that was showcased for Starfield, I mean, people have had like back and forths of like, okay, is this looking good? Is this like kind of similar to something else, or is this kind of like a little bit repetitive or something? What else is there for this game? Blah blah blah, and so on and so forth with that. But I can definitely say with a certain bit of confidence and stuff like that, where Tears of the Kingdom, it definitely has that whole mystique portion of it because it's a new Zelda game since Breath of the Wild. Quintessentially, it's quintessentially the sequel to Breath of the Wild,
yeah.
obviously,
That was the
but
title. I mean, that was the title longer than Tears of the Kingdom was the title.
well, yeah, yeah, and it's just there's been so much hype and so much presentation that has been built around Tears of the Kingdom where it feels organically like the most anticipated game. So that's pretty much the reason why I feel like that is going to win that
Yeah,
category.
yeah. I think Starfield. We just haven't had that big push yet. We've just gotten that big.
Yeah,
We had the E3 showing or the Summer Game Fest showing last year, but we haven't had the push yet. And I think when that push comes, maybe that will change his mind. I think there's a huge subsection of people that are just like that will play anything Bethesda that will vote for this. That's why I think it'll be.
absolutely.
I think at worst it'll be number 2. But all right, so we're both predicting Zelda though.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Best adaptation. So this is like the recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. So we have Arcane, League of Legends, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, The Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Uncharted.
Well, we know what's not going to be that.
Yeah, definitely fuck Uncharted. So this one I did not vote on just because I've only seen Uncharted and that movie's fucking trash. This is a good one because I think I can definitely see Sonic winning because of the popularity contest because more people have seen it.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But then also I think about like, okay, but like the audience for Game Awards. This is, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if if either of these won it. I mean, I think Cuphead actually was. I think to me personally, I would immediately eliminate Uncharted and then probably the Cuphead show because I think that kind of just came and went. I didn't really
Yeah,
hear a huge amount of buzz for that game or that show. Arcane blew up, but was huge, but that was early in the year.
I have not heard anything else more from Arcane League of Legends since the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So and Cyberpunk was I think last month August something like that, or like it was like somewhere in the last couple months here. Uh, so to me, it's between Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I agree with you.
Huh. I just think I this is what's tough because like you like all right popularity contest, yeah, like I said Sonic the Hedgehog 2 wins this because it's I mean it was in the theaters, but I mean we saw what Edge Runners did to Steam sales, just Steam sales alone for Cyberpunk.
Because that series was so good and so popular, it systematically re-sparked people's interest into
Yeah,
investing into Cyberpunk 2077, and that those fans, that same fans that were disappointed when the game initially released, are now going back and actually downloading, rebuying the game as a result from that.
yeah. So I hmm. I'm gonna predict because of that Cyberpunk Edge Runners, but I don't think if it's kind of like it's like a Starfield Zelda thing to me, where like neither would shock me between Sonic and Cyberpunk, but I
Right,
think because of the audience, and so 90% of the votes, there are some categories where it's like fan voted. I think most anticipated is all fan voted. Everything else though will be, except for a couple like accessibility and esports that's voted differently, and I think content creator is different as well. But everything else, 90% of votes come from the people that initially made the nominations, and then 10% come from fans. And I think
right.
the people that make the nominations, a lot of those people probably are going to pick Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Where it feels like from how the fans will vote, and also how like the people that are responsible for the nominations and stuff to begin with, how they're going to be voting as well, the judges and stuff. This is going to be one of those cases to where it is going to be between Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And quite honestly, I don't think a lot of the judges are going to go and get into the favor for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I think more or less that it's going to be mostly fans that will vote for Cyberpunk Edge Runners in regards to that stuff. And I think that's going to eclipse the Sonic the Hedgehog 2
Yeah.
votes. So I'm gonna go with Cyberpunk Edge Runners as
All
well for
right.
that category.
Yeah, and I also think like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is like it's by far the most popular, but I don't think it's like it's a good movie, but I think like Cyberpunk Edge Runners sounds like people think it's fantastic. So,
Right.
um, yeah. Well, let's move on to the next one here. We have best debut indie. So this is for the best debut game created by a new independent studio. So what we have here is we have Neon White, Norco, which I had never heard of, to be fair, and it actually it's been on like PC for a long time now. Apparently people love it, but it actually just came to consoles this week, and it's actually on Game Pass as well. This came this week, but it's like a point and click adventure game. Stray, the cat game, Tunic, the Fox game, that's a Zelda game, that's also a Dark Souls game, and then also Vampire Survivors, which I've heard nothing but praise about. It came out early access in January and finally just went 1.0 about a month or so ago and just came to Game
Right.
Pass I think 2 weeks ago. This is one of those games that's on my like I want to play this game for the game for before the year is over for like my game of the year stuff. Um,
hmm
but yeah, I don't. Gables, Have you seen Vampire Survivors? Have you seen anything about this game?
I have seen a little bit about the game. I actually was watching one of a Twitch stream and stuff like that by oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's this one woman that I generally like watching in regards to like some of her gameplay stuff, and that was like Aaron Plays.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's the girlfriend of Mike Matei and stuff like that. The dude that
Oh,
used to do like the whole like collaborate with Angry Video Game Nerds and
yes.
stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, I used to
But
watch him.
she was playing a lot of like Survivors and stuff, and I was just kind of curious, what is this game about? And it's quintessentially kind of like one of those. like stick shooters, in regards to that stuff.
Yeah, twin stick shooter. Yep.
Yeah, but I think that Vampire Save, like Survivors and stuff like that, is a good game and stuff. But from what I've seen, but in terms of this category and stuff, there are three strong contenders here for best indie game debut. And the thing about it is, like, I feel like that. I feel like that for games that like with Neon White and Tunic, I mean, good games in and of themselves and stuff like that, but I kind of feel like it's going to go to Norco for this case and scenario, only
Wow.
because the reason why I feel that way is because one, it has a huge dedicated Steam fan base in
Yeah.
regards to that audience and stuff. It released earlier on this year. It's gotten some of the best reviews upon OpenCritic and Metacritic alike and stuff. I think it was like what, a 93?
Yeah. It's we were looking at like some of the highest rated games on OpenCritic a couple weeks ago off
Yeah.
the podcast, and I was like what the fuck is Norco? And then like yeah, like a week later, here it is. It's being nominated for a game award. So
Yeah,
um,
I've seen the great reviews that this game has been getting on OpenCritic. I have not really delved into the content of the game itself. But here's the thing: this is a tough ass category
this is
because
a
all of
great
these.
fucking
This is
list.
great
Yeah.
because I absolutely love Neon White. That game is fantastic. Stray was a good game.
Stray's a very good
Tunic,
game. Yes.
hard as hell, but yet it's still a fun ass game.
People love that game that like that game. Yes.
Yes, yes. Like Vampire Survivors and stuff. Obviously, we just covered over that. And in Norco, I feel like is going to win this category, and that's because there's going to be so much division
Okay.
between like a slew of like three games. I think like Neon White, Norco, Stray are going to be like going through and like just getting all this random, you know, support or like just random like
Yeah.
cutting off stuff. It's legitimately
Split the
the
votes.
only. Yeah, it's going to split the votes a lot. I feel like this is the one category throughout this entire list where I feel like this is the best representation of the best indie games of this year.
Hmm.
And that's just hilarious, though, is because every single one of these games in this category for a debut indie game, each stand on their own is like a good game or a
Yeah.
fantastic game.
Yeah. Um. Man, I'm like like so. Norco was the first one I immediately eliminated from this one.
Right.
Um. And I was like, man, like, 'cause I think of those. So in my brain, I eliminated Norco.
Yeah.
I immediately I voted for Stray, but that's the one I really played. I did play a little bit of
Yeah.
Tunic. That's just not for me. Um, and I definitely want to check out the other games, but like
What?
Stray was the one
Yeah.
I played. Um, and I beat that game. I really like that game. Uh,
Yeah, it's a good game. I
yeah,
like that game
it
too.
is definitely a contender for my top 10 game list, but I think I've been thinking about this one a lot in my brain. Like I was doing like a ranking if I had like that's kind of what I do sometimes. Like I'll slowly knock them out. So like Norco was 5, Tunic was 4 for me. I think Vampire Survivors could have that recency win where it hit 1.0 about a few weeks ago, like about a month ago, where it really blew up again, right when the voting came out. So that probably helps it get nominations. So maybe that will help it get votes, especially coming to Game Pass. Um, Stray by far is the most popular game because I mean
Yeah.
that blew up all. I mean that was on the fucking like the news. People were talking about that game because of how popular it was. The cats watching their owners play the game. Um, so in my mind, I was like, okay, so I took out Vampire Survivors. I got the Neon White because that was a moment. I remember
Yes,
I talked about that. We're
absolutely.
like, we were so excited for Shredder's Revenge to come out, TMNT, but it came out the same day as Neon White, and it ate its lunch. Uh,
That's the thing, man. It's like I absolutely do want Neon White to win this category because it truly is a
yeah, so that would
fantastic
be your
game and it's got
vote.
that one more moment,
Yeah,
quintessentially. But I feel like Norco is going to
okay.
win this. So
So
yeah.
because I was thinking, okay, Neon White came out in like mid June, and
Hmm.
that was the game that everybody talked about until mid July when Stray came out.
Yep.
So my prediction is Stray, just
Okay.
based off of I don't think it's and like I said it's the one I played, but I don't think if I bet it's probably like if you were to rank the best games, if like they told all these people like to vote and ranked in order how good they thought the game was, I wouldn't be shocked if Stray was fifth. But I do think because of how big it was, how popular it was, I think Stray will win. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So I think we could skip content creator of the year, Gables.
Yeah.
I personally voted for Nibel.
I would vote for Nibel as well.
I fucking Nibel, it was very important to me because he was a big part of putting this show together, putting the podcast together. Because honestly, he would he put everything really well together in a nicely summed up fashion, and he was so fucking good. Every time I missed the trending gamer thing. I understand the content creator of the year, and we don't have to predict this thing, but I just want to we can talk about gripes and like snubs, stuff like that if we want to talk about them as we go. But I understand why they go to content creator of the year because way more people are gonna watch because Carl Jacobs is there, Ludwig is there. Like these people we don't know who they are, but they get millions and millions or hundreds of thousands of viewers. So they have millions of followers. Like they're huge. So I get as a business why you do that over just trending gamer. But I wish there was a way you could do both. Like maybe do trending gamer and do streamer of the year. Because I do kind of miss the old way. And maybe it's just as we get older and we get aged out of this category where it's like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. So, but yeah, but it seems like the last like 4 or 5 years, I'm like, I don't know a single person in this. So, but yeah, I'm hoping Nibel wins it. But I miss Nibel. I hope that he wins it and we finally figure out who he is. Cause that would be a perfect way to end the cycle of Nibel, of him coming on stage and revealing who he is or she. We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. So
that'd be funny. It's like Jeff Grubb in a mask.
I hope it's Shigeru Miyamoto.
Oh my god,
that's my prediction. It's Yuji Naka. He was Nibel all along. Moving on though, the best multiplayer. So what we have here is we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I personally voted for Splatoon 3. I played a little bit of Overwatch 2. I don't like Overwatch. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just don't like it. Multiverses, I played a little bit of it. It's fine. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I'm sure it's fantastic. Sounds like it is. TMNT Shredder's Revenge is probably my favorite game on this list, but I didn't play multiplayer. But I know people that did play it, loved it. Gibbles, I mean, what are you thinking here, man?
Let's see. I do like Splatoon 3 in its regards, though, but I kind of feel like the multiplayer stuff is going to go to Modern Warfare 2. I really feel that. I really don't think Call of Duty's going to win. I think it's honestly, I think it's Multiverses and Call of Duty are the bottom two in this one. Just based off the audience for this. Yeah, you would think that, right?
But so that's sometimes you get in the head game where it's like you start to think about, okay, what's the audience going to do here? Because I don't think most people that are like the media side of this that's voting, that gets the 90% of the vote, the 10%, the fans. I feel like
the media is going to try to. If there was the media, it would vote for Modern Warfare 2.
I don't think it will, because I mean, I really don't, because I think the majority of, I think honestly, I really think it's between Overwatch 2 and Splatoon 3.
Because I don't think you know what, you have that too, because I kind of feel like that could play a role to that because of fan voting.
I don't think the media is like, they're not. I think a lot of them have moved off of Call of Duty. You look at reviews aren't great for that game. So, I mean, it's like a 76 on OpenCritic, so it's not like blow away great. I feel like, I mean, there's definitely like I think the audience of Call of Duty is the same audience that's always been for Call of Duty. Yeah, so that's why Multiverses, I think it had its time.
Multiverses came and went. Yeah. It's the lowest tier in this list, and I kind of feel like Overwatch 2 is definitely around the tier right there where it's like either 3 or 4 on this list. I really don't see it as like a top.
I think it's at worst 2.
Okay.
Because I think the people that like, there's a ton of issues with Overwatch 2, but the people that all come back to say, it's kind of like I was talking about with Pokemon on the last episode, where it's like, there's a ton of issues here, but like, I like playing this game so much that I get past it. And that's kind of what I've been hearing about when I hear people talk about Overwatch 2, and people that have that help vote on these categories and on these nominees, where like that's kind of their mindset. Is like, man, I'm really frustrated by the business side of this stuff, but I still love the loop in playing this game. So it's like,
Right.
and I wonder if like, maybe being free to play is going to help. Um, I voted for Splatoon 3, like I said.
Okay.
I want Shredder's Revenge to win.
Yeah, I do too.
Just because I love that game the most of this list. But my prediction is Overwatch 2.
Okay. Yours is Overwatch 2. Mine's is Modern Warfare 2.
Okay. All right. I should have kept track of this. I'll go back and watch this. Keep track of this. What the loser has to do something. All right. Best sports racing game. So
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that.
Yeah, I mean, this list is always kind of whatever every year. It's just kind of I understand why they put this list together, because there's not enough racing games. There's not enough like different sports games to like make a list of 5 for this. We have FIFA 22, or I'm sorry, F1 22, FIFA 23, NBA 2K 23, Gran Turismo 7, and Ollie World. I'm picking Ollie World with a bullet.
I am too.
Yeah, I feel like
because
all
these other games are so like fucking.
They're annual.
They're just annual games and stuff. Besides Gran Turismo 7, but
yeah.
Gran Turismo 7 has its own issues as well and stuff, which I just would rather go with Ollie World in this case and scenario, because it's like I know what the games play like inside of that series and stuff so far. I've not tried Ollie World, but at the same time, it looks like a breath of fresh air as opposed to all the other sports and racing games in this category.
Yeah, and then like it's usually the game that's like different, that's like not the annual game that gets in. Like all these games, I'm sure are great. I heard GT7 is people love that game. It's just the microtransaction stuff is the problem with that game. Yeah, but it's like last year was Forza Horizon 5. And I think All Air Worlds could be that game on this list, and
right.
because it's the one that's not the same as the others. It's not an annual game. It's not GTA 7 or GT 7. So all right, let's move on. Best sim and strategy game. So we have Dune Spice Wars, which I honestly didn't know was out, and apparently came out a long time. Well, it was been early access. It's officially out now. And it's actually on Game Pass as well now. Or it's either now or next week. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Total War Warhammer 3, 2 Point Campus, Victoria 3. I don't know the other games well enough. I know Total War Warhammer 3 reviewed really well, because that was one of those games that like I drafted in our final Fantasy Critic League. But I'm gonna just pick Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, because I voted for that because that's the one I played. I don't know sim strategy games super duper well, but yeah, I think it's gonna. I just think it's at this point it's a popularity contest, and I'm gonna go with Sparks of Hope.
Yeah, that definitely is the safe bet right there, going Sparks of Hope though. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's just we don't know these other games so well, so let's move on. Best family game. For the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. So I've been hearing, I hear it every year, but I've seen it seems more vocal this year from like the people that actually like help vote for these nominees, where like some of these categories, like they're a little too vague, or they wish they would like kind of change it up a little bit, because the best family category is basically always kind of been called the Nintendo category. We have 5 games here. 4 of them are Nintendo games. We have Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Nintendo Switch Sports, Splatoon 3. So the question a lot of people have is like, is this game you play with your family, or is this more family appropriate game like your kids can play? Because Sparks of Hope is a single player game. So there's that. Kirby is a 2-player game, but it's not. It's everybody says that playing as a second player sucks. Switch Sports, that game was like a 71 Open Critic, and everybody's like, it's not that good of a game. So yeah,
Splatoon 3. That's what I'm thinking.
I voted Kirby because I think it's my favorite game on this list. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's gonna be Splatoon 3. But I think I would not be shocked if Lego Star Wars wins it. But I think it's Splatoon 3. Like if I had to pick a 2, it'd be Star Wars. But yeah, I'm going with you. Splatoon 3. I don't know if there's any. Do you have any thoughts on this list otherwise though?
To be perfectly honest, though, I don't have too much like to offer in regards to it. I mean, it's basically like a Nintendo category right
Yeah,
here. Besides Lego
every
Star
year.
Wars is on multiple platforms
Yeah,
for this one as well. But for the ones that I've seen on this list and for the ones I've actually played and enjoyed, I think Splatoon 3 would be the one that would win.
yeah, it makes sense. So, um, let's move on though. Best fighting game. This is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Uh, for the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat, we have
What the?
we have DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All Star Battle R, The King of
Mhm.
Fighters 15, Multiverses, and my favorite fighting game of 2022, Sifu.
Okay, this is the category where I don't understand the selections for this fucking category. I mean, granted, 2022, this was a weak year in regards to releases of fighting games.
And they do, to be fair, Jeff Keighley has talked about where like you can vote on games that didn't come out in 2022. So like King of Fighters 15 isn't a 2022 game, right?
Yes, this is a 2022 game.
Oh,
This is
okay.
King of Fighters 15. This did release though this past February, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. So I'm wrong. But there are games that like he has talked about where like they keep getting supportive, like new characters, stuff like that. You can. He's talking about like
Well,
he said
yeah.
if Fortnite wins a Game of the Year one year, he wouldn't argue with it if there was a good reason for it. So we've seen that in best fighting game in the past, where like games that came out in previous years have been nominated again because of like basically like ongoing support for the game. But yeah, this is kind of like when I talk about like sports racing game being combined together as one category is good. Like I like the fact that best fighting has its own category, but I feel like like every category needs to have at least 5, except Game Awards. The Game of the Year has 6. But I feel like maybe you should make it. If there's one thing I would make a difference here is like if you don't have a fifth, then don't have a fifth. Because I believe that the Academy Awards has done that in the past, where like they've like some years are like there's only enough votes for like a category that they only had 2, so like they'll just have 2. Um, and maybe I get that it sucks. You want to give as much, um, as many people, as many eyeballs, as many games as possible in here. I get that. Um, yeah, but I just like I voted for Sifu. I'm not gonna lie, Gables, because the one I played when I voted for this. Well, I played Multiverses, but whatever. Um, I don't know, Gables. The, we'll talk about Sifu more later. I voted, but my prediction is DMF Duel. But that's only because I watched the what's that? What's the fighting game? The in Vegas X
Oh,
Evo
Evo.
Evo. Yeah, that's only because we watched that grand finals thing with Evo. Um,
Yeah, that was some fun shit.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool looking. Um, so I voted for DNF. My prediction is DNF Duel. No other reason but that. But I mean, Gables, what you're more of a fighting game expert than me. So what's your thoughts?
First off, seafood does not belong inside of a fucking fighting game category right here. I mean, it says best fighting, but at the same time, let's look at the commonality here of fighting games. It's PvP based.
It says
Most
head-to-head combat.
Yes, head-to-head combat in
You
that
headbutt in
regards.
Sifu.
Still not fighting against another like actual player, it's player versus CPU, player versus player, PvP stuff. That's quintessentially what fighting games are. The
Uh,
fact that they had to add Sifu into this category in that regard just tells me how weak the releases for fighting games were
yeah.
for this year, but it also tells that they were just tossing things together because they fucking wanted
There
something
must
extra.
did that Persona fighting game come out this year or was that last year?
Well, yes, that Persona fighting game came out this year, but it was also a remastered
Isn't it
of a
JoJo's
game
though?
that came. Yes, exactly the point.
Okay.
This is what doesn't make sense about this list. They added in on this list JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, All Star Battle R, which is definitely like a remake, like a remaster of these fucking the game from the PS3, right?
Mm.
And then here you don't have. If they included something like that, why not instead of having Sifu on it, have the Persona 4 like Ultimax game on this fucking thing as well? Because that one was re-released this year as well. And that's in regards to that, it's like they basically have already gotten like a remastered fighting game that has released previously.
Yeah, there's
So
precedent here.
yeah, there is a precedent here. So not only do they not have their facts on straight in regards to games released this year
Well, didn't that get
for
called like
fighting games.
February though? So maybe it's like one of those things where they just, they vote for the shit in like early November. So maybe it's like they just by then, like, I mean, who remembers that game? It just kind of seemed like it came and went. So I don't know. I'm not like I agree, but I could see when you're voting, and it's just like I don't know. Like no one's allowed to talk about how the voting process works, which I wish they could. I think that's one rule that's really stupid because do you pick five? Do you vote as a committee and everybody gives a vote? Maybe like say 20 people voted, 19 voted for these four games and one person voted for Sifu, and that's how it got in. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew the process of how these games are nominated, other than the people get to
Right.
pick them.
I will say this though, it's like I do want DNF Duel to win this category. I mean, wait a minute. For DNF Duel, wait, I think the thing that we're watching though was Guilty Gear Strive, honestly.
Oh,
But
you're right. So I don't even know.
I'll tell you
But
what,
I'm gonna stick with my guns with DNF Duel because I don't have a fucking clue. But
I
I
do
in my heart I want Sifu to win. It's gonna be hilarious.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I personally do want, like, say, the King of Fighters 15 to go forth because that is actually an established. It is actually established fighting franchise and stuff, the dedicated hardcore base, DNF Duel and stuff. It came out during that time period and stuff. People did like it, didn't enjoy it and stuff, but it has not really like kept its momentum throughout the entire year like I thought it may have been. But it's going to be kind of hilarious though. You're going to go for it, stick with your Dungeons and DNF Duel and stuff. I think people are going to go more or less. The critics and stuff are going to probably go for like a fucking popularity contest in this regards.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not.
that's
I'm.
fair.
I think it's going to go with fucking Sifu with his shit because I don't think anyone's going to fucking go forth and go with multiverses.
I don't think it's. I think even the people that voted on the like the people that were like voting, they were talking about this. Like the ones I've listened to, like I listen to Easy Allies, kind of funny. I've heard a couple other people talk about that help vote, like Janet Garcia, Jeff Grubb, Mike Bernardi, stuff like that. Pretty much, I mean, obviously that's like a very small category of over 100 people, like 100 different outlets that vote on this. But all of them are like, how did Sifu get on this list? So I feel like there's enough outrage not like really outrage, but you know what I mean. Where like no one in the right mind is going to vote on that. So I don't think it's going. But I do hope it will win just because of the chaos it would create.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that it's mostly going to get this vote to be the best fighting in terms of this category, the best fighting, only because you're going to have a lot of people like other casual gamers coming through onto this stuff, and they know, oh, hey, Sifu's on here and stuff like that. I've played that game maybe a little bit or something. They're going to vote for that as opposed to like DNF Duel or King of Fighters 15.
Yeah, well,
there was
you got to remember fans only count for 10%.
Only 10%.
So yeah, I mean they're not gonna. In the end, it's gonna be the people that the industry that the more hardcore that play these games than. So yeah, I don't know. I
feel like it's going to be between either Sifu or multiverses. That's what I kind of feel like it's going to lead
I
down.
I don't think so because I feel like multiverses maybe if it was a popularity contest by far for like the greater world, yes, because that was the one that more people play multiverses than any of the other games. Probably more than all these games combined.
Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, then that may just be enough for me just to say, you know what, I'm just going to change my voting on that one. I'm just going to think that it's going to be multiverses instead of Sifu.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm going to pick DNF Duel because the main arc system works, and I like Dragon Ball Fighters, and I hate Dragon Ball, so I'm going to root for them.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a weird category. All right, this is where the part where I
Now, talk about a Nintendo category.
this is the part where Gables I start to just lose my fucking mind. Where we really need to start making some changes to the Game Awards
I have
categories.
all the fucking games in this category.
But okay, but Gables, hear me out. This game right here, I'm hovering over. What's the second word?
Strategy.
What category is this?
Role playing.
Isn't there a best strategy game category?
Technically, yes.
Then why the fuck is Triangle Strategy in the best role playing category?
Because it's a strategy RPG.
This is like, I understand. This is like my Sifu in the fighting game category thing. Where we need to fix some shit. Because genres don't matter anymore in gaming for like the last 15 years. Like Call of Duty technically is an RPG. Mass Effect RPG. Fucking God of War Ragnarok is technically an RPG. Like they're all everything now. I don't have like the answer to fix these, the solution to these. Like, but we need to come up with more. We need to come up with better categories. Because this genre shit honestly didn't make sense to me when I was reading Nintendo Powers in middle school in the early 2000s. Where I would see best action adventure game, best action game. I'm like, what was the difference? Because it would just be like, oh, Zelda Twilight Princess won it. Well, I don't know. It what best role playing game. For the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. So what we have here is Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I personally voted for Legends Arceus because I did play a little bit of Live Alive. It didn't click for me, but I want Legends Arceus to win. I'm gonna vote for Elden Ring. Is my prediction.
Okay, obviously, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm going to go with Elden Ring for this pick, only because, for one, out of all these games on here, and I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the closest in regards to, neck to neck. In the hierarchy of things, I would put Triangle Strategy, like, right at the bottom, and then Legends, no, Live Alive after that, then Arceus, then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would be number 2, with Elden Ring at number 1. From what I've played from these games in this categories and stuff, all these are pretty solid games. But at the same point, it's like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, fantastic game in and of itself. The gameplay is awesome and stuff. Elden Ring is on another level than a lot of these different games here. Even if it's like a Soulsborne game technically and stuff, all the epic moments, all the freaking crazy ass story stuff, all of the memorable moments for me personally going through a whole entire month of fucking just playing just this game is part of the reason why I feel like this is the best role-playing game this year.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I think the rest of the list totally good. Is a really good list. I just wish there was a. I don't know. My big issue with this year is we see Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok in a lot of categories.
Yes,
and
we
I
do.
think it's what's going to suck because we're going to see those games just dominate those categories, and we're gonna see those two games dominate the majority of the rest of these categories. And not enough of these games are going to be get their due. They're not going to win awards because they're. I don't know. That's kind of part of the reason why I wish there was like more, maybe not more categories, but better categories than what we have now. But let's move on. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Best action adventure game. Plague Tale. This is a fucking list. Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Tunic. My prediction is God of War Ragnarok. And here's my thing. I could see on a lot of these lists that we're talking about here, like the majority of these next categories here, you're going to see God of War or Elden Ring or both on each one as a nomination. I could see some of these where people are like, well, we're gonna vote for it here, so we'll vote for this here instead. So I can see some of these games win because they're like, well, we're gonna vote for God of War in this category, so let's vote for this. Well, let's just say example. We'll vote for Tunic in this category because we're gonna vote for God of War in the other category. So I can see games win because of that. But I think the obvious one here is God of War. But I'll make if let's say that happens, my second answer would probably be Horizon for that. But I personally voted for Plague Tale Requiem. Just because I wanted to be like, I did the thing where it's like, well, I'm voting for God of War here, so I'm going to vote for Plague Tale here. So, but yeah. So, personal pick, Plague Tale. What I think will win God of War. Set backup answer, Horizon. Gables.
I think it's gonna be Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you want to elaborate any more on any of that. But all right, let's move on. Also, best action adventure game, Stray, really? There's like there's like a 5-minute area where you get a gun and that's about it. But let's move on. Best action game.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Beta 3. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Neon White. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. And the best fighting game of the year, Sifu. Gables, you love the fact that the best action game is also the best fighting game in Sifu?
Oh my god, dude. Oh
this
man.
Is a fucking,
no.
Once again, this is a great. I mean, this has been This has been like a very deep year of quality games.
Yeah. It has been.
God damn. All of these make sense to me. like I know it's stupid to say, but like there's an argument for all of them. I'm gonna pick Bayonetta 3 as my what I think will win. But my heart wants Shredder's Revenge to win. I just want to see at least Shredders get one award this year. But I think it's Bayonetta.
Oh, this is a tough one because a couple of these games I've actually played through here. Oh man.
I mean, I love Sifu. I beat that in one sitting. I love TMNT. I also beat that in one sitting. Bayonetta 3 I beat in essentially a day because Extra Life. So.
Yeah, you really enjoyed your time with Bayonetta 3 as well.
Yeah.
It's really between two games here for me, and I'm just having a hard time trying to decide which one I would think is the best action
what
game.
What are the two games you're at?
Neon White and Shredder's Revenge.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Shredder's Revenge because I enjoy the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
And that was one of the best beat 'em up games I have fucking played in quite a long while.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, we've been blessed with a resurgence of beat 'em up games. Quality beat 'em up games.
Dotemu, they just need to someone needs to they need to triple their staff so they can make 3 games at a time, so they can put out more games because they're fantastic. If we can get an annual game from them without them crunching or anything like that, that would make me very happy. Give me an X-Men game. Give me Streets of Rage 5. Give me another Shredder's Revenge. Give me Captain Planet game. I don't fucking care. Just keep making games. They're so fucking good. You can make a beat 'em up Dragon Ball game and I'll fucking play it. I don't give a fuck. All right. So we're both at. So my prediction is Bayonetta, but my heart wants Shredder's Revenge, and you're picking Shredder's Revenge.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Let's move on. Can we just skip best VR AR?
I'm just gonna go Among Us, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Among Us as well, but yeah, we don't want to. Not an educated guess here. I do want Moss Book 2 to win though. Innovation and accessibility, recognizing software and/or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played, enjoyed by an even wider audience. So we have As Dusk Falls, God of War Ragnarok, Return of Monkey Island, Last of Us Part 1. The Quarry. So I have played 4 of these 5. The only one I didn't play is Monkey Island. As Dust Falls does have really good. The Quarry and As Dust Falls has very similar what's the word I'm looking for here? Accessibility, and they make it so like you can they kind of like slow down like how long time as far as like to make decisions. And I think like as this fall even has the option. I think you can just like there is no like time limit. You could just pick. I don't remember if Corey has that. Corey has way more accessibilities, but Last Part One. That I think this is like the best category. If it was gonna be nominated for any category, makes a lot of sense because that was like the one argument you can't make against it was like now I seen like Steve Spain, I believe his name is, he's in like the accessibility. He's been a huge person as far as like helping out with like accessibility in gaming. And then Steve Saylor, the blind gamer. Also, he even like he helped actually those two actually help companies, especially like Sony and PlayStation, with accessibility options in their games. That's like the big thing you hear about Last Part One is like you can't deny is like there's a lot of people that can play that game now for the first time. And that's awesome. But I think it's gonna be I can see God of War Ragnarok win this one because like there's even accessibility options that I use in that game. Like because like, these are so good. Like one of them was like you can make it so auto picks up stuff for you, which just
that's right.
really well made. You can like there's the ones where you can like slow down time. So like some of the time puzzles. I didn't do that one, but like I always like looking at the options. I think I always got like especially the colorblind thing. So I was like Justin is colorblind, and I always think that's kind of fascinating. I like to like look at the options. So like God of War Ragnarok has like a ton of like options that like even like people like us don't have accessibility issues like that we can look at. And so my prediction is God of War Ragnarok just because like I think there's just like they just built upon kind of what we've seen like really Naughty Dog kicked it off with Uncharted 4. And they added basically what's from Uncharted 4 into Last Part 1, or really Last Part 2 and Last Part 1. But Ragnarok just takes it to the next level. So I think it's going to be Ragnarok.
I go with Ragnarok as well in this one.
Yeah. And I think this one is like, I mean, all these really well deserved. I love the fact that these is like, I like that this is a common thing. I always love hearing the shit. So like just, there's so many great games out there. I want more people to play them. So that's more people can enjoy the games I love. That's awesome. Best community support, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game update patches. So we have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, No Man's Sky. I voted for Fortnite. I could see Final Fantasy. I think that will win it because Endwalker came out in December, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. And Final Fantasy 14 was so fucking popular, they had to stop selling the game because they couldn't keep up with all the servers and stuff. So
I'm going Final Fantasy 14 on this one only because not just the Endwalker content, not just the fact they had to stop selling the game because of that stuff, but because the continuous support and stuff for the community stuff is fantastic in regards to the overall feel of like just the whole feel of like that community aspect to like that game in itself apparently is fairly good from what I understand.
It seems like between like the five, at no point in time did anybody call like you look at like Fortnite and Final Fantasy 14. At no point did anybody call that a dead game. We're like,
no.
I mean, Destiny 2, like there's a point where like everybody's like, that's a dead game, and then like even you fell off for a long time. Apex pissed everybody off because like there's so many issues with like the game being hacked and stuff like that. And No Man's Sky is just kind of a game that kind of goes dormant for a while, and then they get a big release. So yeah, I agree. I think it's Final Fantasy 14, but I like Fortnite. Personal vote Fortnite. So moving on though here, both now can we just skip both best mobile game?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's Marvel Snap. So
can I just say it's really hilarious that they actually put Diablo Immortal inside of this fucking best mobile game.
What's crazy is everybody seems to like that playing that game, but it's just so. I think, Diablo Immortal actually sounds like it's a really good game. It's just microtransaction to hell. So
yeah, man, I don't see it. But anyway, yeah, we can skip this category.
All right. Best indie game. So we already did best debut. Now we're at best indie game. We have Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, and Tunic. Gables, you got anything on this one?
God, you know what? Out of all this and stuff like that, I feel like that Neon White's going to win the best indie. That's what I feel.
I think I think Neon White will either win debut or indie. I feel like so. I think Neon White and Stray will take. They'll each take one of the two. So I picked
I can see
Stray
that.
for best debut. I'm gonna pick Neon White here because of that, but I think you can vice versa those. I personally voted Sifu on for this, but I could see Cult of the Lamb winning it, man. I really do. I think people really seem to love that game, and it really had its moment. I just don't know how big of a moment it had. Uh, where like it's recent enough that it was August it came out, so it's not like an
Hmm.
old game. But yeah, I think it's Neon White though. Just, but I mean, like I said, neither of these ones will shock me. If you could tell me the one, it won't shock me. I think this is just man. Some of these lists you just look at, and it's like, yeah, all these make sense. Like, and this is one of those too. But let's move on. Best ongoing.
Oh God,
It's
Final
a
Fantasy 14.
Yeah. So we have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact. It's kind of the same list where you add Genshin Impact where instead of No Man's Sky, but I think it's Final Fantasy 14 is the one for this was too. But I picked Fortnite. So moving on here, games for impact for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Um, I really liked Memoir Blue. I really like Dust Falls, Citizen Sleepers. People seem to love that game. Endling Extinction for Extinction is Forever. I really like. I really want to play the game, but I think it's gonna make me cry a lot, so I didn't play it. Hindsight did make me cry a lot, so I stopped playing it. And as a teenage exo colonist, I don't even know what the hell that game is. I like the art style. But I mean, Gills, what are you thinking here in this one, buddy?
Dude, I have not even played a lot of any of the games in this category, and quite honestly, I am not sure how to go with this stuff. I think I'm gonna go with Citizen Sleeper though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Citizen Sleeper. I don't really know either. I think there's almost one we can skip, but I picked As Dust Falls just because I liked it the most. But I don't. I really don't know what Games for Impact means, so I don't know. So
Yeah, it's such a vague category, and a lot of these
yeah,
game
I mean,
choices that I have here, I mean, some of them have been rated all right and stuff. Some have been kind of laughable in regards to the presentation style. Some of them have been praised because of their messaging stuff. It's
yeah,
just this is too vague of a category for me.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going to Citizen Sleeper just because of popularity contest. So um, let's move on though. Best performance, man. What a fucking list we got here, man. We have Ashley Birch from Horizon Forbidden West. She played Aloy.
Uh,
Plague Tale Requiem. We have Charlotte McBurney. She played Amicia. That's my best impression of the little boy from um, Plague Tale. We have Christopher Judge from God of War Ragnarok. He played Kratos. Uh, Mannion Gage. She was a lead person from Immortality, which is a game that I've been meaning to play forever. Because it's everybody's talking about it. And after these nominations, like okay, when I have time, I'm gonna have to play this game because it looked really good when it came out. It's one of the highest rated games of the year. Uh, and then we have Sonny Soljic, who played Atreus from God of War Ragnarok. I'm gonna pick Christopher Judge here because he did not win in 2018. Sam Marston, I believe is his name, from Red Dead Redemption 2. The guy who played him won. Uh, so I kind of look at this like almost as like kind of like in with the Academy Awards with Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, which was the final Lord of the Rings movie,
hmm
where that like won all the awards because it was kind of like a uh, like here's all your flowers now because this is the last one. Where like even though you're the worst of the three movies, we're gonna give you all the awards just because this is it for you, kind of thing. And I mean, well, obviously we don't know if this is it for Christopher Judge's Kratos, but this is kind of the end of the duality of this. Uh, so I think it's gonna be Christopher Judge.
Hmm.
But personally, I want Charlotte. I want Charlotte McBurney from Plague Tale Requiem to win just because I really liked Amicia in that game.
Now, granted, I do like Christopher Judge's voice acting from what I have played, not only just of God of War 2018, but also of Ragnarok so far and stuff. But some just tells me, man, that it's gonna go to the voice actress and stuff for Immortality. I mean,
She
that
deserves
game,
it.
That game has been on the tops of people's lists in regards to some of the best games they've played the entire year. Open Critic has had Immortality rated high and stuff, and this is like the lead actress, mind you,
Mm.
right? So she has to have done something utterly fantastic of a performance and stuff if it contributes to why people have been considering it one of their favorite games of the year. So I'm gonna go with Cage and stuff like that. Gage, right?
Manny and Gage, yeah. Yeah,
Gage,
I can
yeah,
see that. It's kind of like the way I played Lady D in Resident Evil 8, or like
right,
last year she won, and
yeah.
the voice actor that played Senua from Hellblade.
Hmm.
That one I can see that where it's like, yeah, it's maybe not the best game technically, but it's like, man, like your performance stood out and it's so different from everybody else's. So it wouldn't shock me. Like that would probably, yeah, if you had me rank them, that'd probably be like 2, I guess. But I would love to see Christopher Judge at least win
Well,
one.
I agree with you.
So
I mean, I would like to see Christopher Judge kind of win this award as well, though. But I kind of feel like in reality, it's going to be Gage that's going
yeah,
to win this award.
yeah. So I mean, I guess they did one game of the year in 2018. So, but I don't know.
Hmm.
Best audio design. I don't fuck have a clue here. We got Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West.
Audio design.
I'm recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. Okay.
It's
I
basically a toss up here.
I kind of think Gran Turismo 7 maybe because it's like it's so specific to like. I mean, they did the whole like PlayStation State of Play talking about how like they had like a whole section in there about how they're getting the sounds for some of the cars and some of the stuff that was going on in that game. So like I
Yeah,
could
now
see
that you put it
that.
that way, this is a category to where it feels like that fucking Gran Turismo 7 is going to win this, huh?
Yeah, I don't have a clue. I mean, if it did, this would be the one where it's like, yeah, it makes sense to me. Where it's like,
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
makes sense though. I'm gonna still say fuck you and just go with Elden Ring.
That's fine. I don't. I don't really. Yeah, I don't really fully understand. Like, I'm not good at like
I agree, dude.
parsing
I
that
really
stuff.
do
So,
not.
like, they all sounded fantastic to me. So,
Yes.
at least I of the 3 of the 5 I played. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Gran Turismo 7 just because it's different, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, Call of Duty also would make sense because like sound design is
Yeah.
also really good in that game. So, moving on though. Best score and music. Plague Tale
Jesus.
Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Metal Hellsinger, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Oh fuck. This is some good stuff here.
To me it's a like I guess I would pick oh man, like it's I voted God of War, but like I really liked Plague Tale Requiem's music in that game. And I love the sound design in that game where like you could like when the music would pick up a lot where like you could like the music would like start to change when like the rats were gonna like show up. I love like just little subtle things like that. Metal Hellsinger though I think really could win it because
Absolutely.
they took like they have a like they made like over 200 songs for this game. They got like singers and bands like and
They
like
got well-renowned like metal
yes,
singers and stuff like
yes,
that
to
too.
like make game songs just for this game. So I kind of think it would be awesome. Like I kind of want to see Metal Hellsinger win this, even though I didn't really like. It's not a game for me, but I think it'd just be kind of cool to fucking see that game to win.
Oh my God. If you've had a chance to listen to like the soundtrack for Metal Hellsinger, I mean, fuck, dude, this is some good fucking
Yeah,
music inside of
yeah.
that fucking
I only played
game.
the demo, so I don't
Oh
know. But
yes.
like from what I heard, I'm like, okay, like it's not for me, but it's like, man, I think it'd just be badass if it won.
I will say though, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that has a great soundtrack. Elden Ring obviously does have a great soundtrack as well. I have listened to some of Metal Hellsinger's soundtrack and stuff. It is a banger. I do love that one. God of War Ragnarok, I've heard like maybe a couple of different things in regards to its soundtrack, but it sounds like it's definitely up
Can
there
we
as well.
can we talk about snubs for a second, Gables? Though
All right.
Kirby in the Forgotten Land, literally nominated for a Grammy this year for best soundtrack.
That's true. It was.
Shredder's Revenge literally had a Wu-Tang song about fighting
Yes, it
Shredder.
did. Yes, absolutely.
What the
Ghostface
fuck?
Killer.
Yes. What in the fuck?
And then here we are for like the best soundtrack and stuff. You have these games, but yet we snub the ones that actually had something that was probably the most memorable in
Yeah, the
terms of.
most unique. Yeah, I think the problem is like uh, Kirby is like the best part of that. The best music in that game was like the very fucking end. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, I just wish that like, man, I want the game of the year or the Game Awards the orchestra to play the Kirby fucking music. Like that's all I want, and like or like also the Shredder's Revenge if they just find a way to work in that Wu Tang song that'd be great too. Um,
God damn. This is going to be a tough choice for me to actually go forth and pick here, but I'm going to go with the one I'm most familiar with, and that's Elden Ring.
okay, all right. I voted God of War Ragnarok, but I personally would like to see Metal Hellsinger just because I think it'd be kind of cool.
I
Um,
understand. Yeah.
I'm moving on here. Best art direction. We have Elden.
Fuck.
Gables, can you do me a favor? I got to pee. Can you
Okay.
read off the five and then kind of give your prediction? I'll be right back.
All right. So we have the best art direction here. And so obviously number one is Elden Ring. Number two, God of War Ragnarok. Number three, Horizon Forbidden West. Number four, Scorn. And lastly, at number five, Stray. Granted, from an art direction, all of these games do hold merit. I do understand the fact of why they would add in, say, Scorn, because of its all grotesque sort of art direction in that regards. I mean, quintessentially, you could make a case that that's probably the best thing about Scorn, as the gameplay, from what I heard is kind of boring and repetitive. Is in regards to everything else, seems like it was kind of a afterthought, but the art direction definitely is unique in that regards. Stray has fantastic art direction, in my honest opinion. That whole like cyberpunk post-apocalyptic sort of feel to its atmosphere when you're exploring things as the cat. But in regards to a lot of the art direction stuff, I mean, God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring, those three have absolutely fantastic art styles. I mean, fantastic like directions and what makes their worlds like more livid, like more vibrant, more like, alive, as in regards to any of the other games on this list. But I will say though, it's like the art direction for all of these games may be unique in their own different ways. I would kind of think that Ragnarok and Forbidden West, in terms of their art styles, are s- somewhat, but not kind of like in similar type of styles. But God of War Ragnarok, I definitely feel like is probably the stronger of those two. But if I had to go with like art direction in general and stuff, I know this is going to be kind of redundant for me, but I'm going to go with Elden Ring
Mm.
because it has some of the most unique. It definitely has, even though it's not like the performance of like as crisp or some like vistas and stuff like say within Ragnarok or what's presented inside of Forbidden West, or even if it's like so abstract and stuff unique, kind of like what Stray has and stuff like that. Elden Ring definitely has that overall grandiose in regards to the overworld land and stuff, to where you can actually see like the center of the world and stuff, the center with that huge old freaking like tree, I think, with a big old ring in the middle and stuff, and all the atmosphere, all the other type of gothic stylings and stuff around with the creatures and everything else. It feels like the most desolate, the most gritty, the most like a freaking post-apocalyptic style of medieval art style that I could actually remember playing inside of a video game. But I think that Elden Ring definitely has the best art direction.
Okay. Um, I think if this was the Giant Bomb Game Awards, uh, and Jeff Gerstmann was voting for, if this was the category for best style,
Hmm.
Scorn would win with a bullet. Um, I just really wanted to say that like Jeff Gerstmann did.
Yeah.
But for this, I think it's Elden Ring. I do agree with you on that. I think it's gonna probably be that. Like yeah, like I think Horizons. I love like the art. I love what they do with it. I love the look of a lot of things, but it's like look at God of War and Horizon, like they've done like definitely some of the bosses and some of the characters they created in some of these games are like definitely fantastic. But it's just a prettier. It's definitely a much nicer looking version of those with some cool new characters added. Stray is definitely I love the way that game looks. I think like love the world's in, love all that. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's gonna be Elden Ring. I think just
Mm.
the the spider finger things alone should probably just make it win.
Oh yeah, the spider fingers and like the whole yeah, those that was definitely an experience of itself. Going to a forest and all of a sudden have all these like freaking spider fingers just crawling all over the place. Like, whoa, no.
Yeah, yeah. But best narrative here for outstanding storytelling and a narrative development in a game. We have Plague Tale, Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality. Look at this. I love the story in Plague Tale Requiem. I love it's God of War Ragnarok, obviously my personal pick. Horizon Forbidden West. I really like the way that story went, but it's like I wouldn't call Horizon like a top tier story. To me, it's between Elden. I see. I'm hearing a lot of support for Elden Ring. Uh, I know the game doesn't have like a story in like the way we talk about story in a game. It doesn't have it. It has a lot of lore, stuff like that. But
It has a lot of lore. It does have like a lot of different types of hints and references to different portions of narrative stuff. But we're looking at like the best overall narrative of a video game in this regards, like everything all together and stuff. Like,
yeah, I think it's between God of War or Immortality. I think those are like the two best picks. I'm gonna pick God of War just because just doing the popularity contest. But if it's not God of War, I think it's Immortality.
I think one of the biggest strengths inside of this category for Immortality is its story in that regards. So I'm gonna go Immortality for my pick. Everything
Okay.
else, God of War Ragnarok or Elden Ring would win and stuff like that. But I feel like in terms of this category, if the strongest inside of this category in general, I think Immortality just has that strongest hook in regards to its story.
Yeah. Or in that, I mean, like the story is that game. So yeah, I can
Yeah,
see it. Um, Next up here, best game direction. We have Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality, and Stray. Um, Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Uh, I'm gonna pick Immortality
you're gonna pick Immortality.
because it's so different from the rest. Yeah, 'cause I
I'll tell
think
you what though,
Elden Ring
I
is. I'm sorry, cut yeah, but like real fast. Elden Ring is it's a soul like it's from software. It's still like kind of the same direction. God of War, same thing. One there's no camera shifting stuff like that. Horizon Forbidden West, same thing. Stray is different, but it's I don't think it's like vastly different from any other gaming. I think it's Immortality.
okay, you're gonna go with Immortality in that regards. When I think about the best game direction and stuff like that, I'm thinking of like something that kind of led to the overall payoff at the end, or quintessentially the whole build of the journey from beginning to end. Not just like a story perspective, but just in the grand scheme of how things kind of went inside of like a crescendo, and then all of a sudden it just started dwindling off towards the end and past the epilogue type of stuff. But mostly what I'm getting at is I'm looking at games from this list here that gave you that big sense of scale and stuff that the developers knew they could go into a specific direction and stuff to make the gamer feel like they're going through like an epic sort of scale. Feel like they going through this vast roller coaster, up and downs and stuff like that. So even though I did vote for Immortality in regards to the whole like story, the whole driven like story stuff like that, but in terms of like creative vision and innovation inside of game direction and design and stuff, this is going to be a controversial pick for obviously. I'm going to go with Stray for this one.
Okay, yeah.
Be-
Okay.
the reason why I went with Stray for this one is because if we're talking about like a creative aspect, I mean, we could definitely see that Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, and Horizon Forbidden West definitely do have great game direction in terms of the stuff. But if we're looking at creativity in terms of innovation and like a specific type of category in that regards, I mean, quintessentially, I mean, all these. like the previous games, with the exception of like Immortality, since that thing has pretty much debuted pretty much this year in this regards. Elder Ring, that's based upon games that came before it in regards to the whole Dark Souls stuff. God of War Ragnarok, a more evolution in regards to God of War 2018. Horizon Forbidden West and stuff like that. That was a sequel to like Zero Dawn and stuff, building upon the origin of that stuff. And even though they do have creative aspects and some of that stuff, the entire game design in of itself, I feel like is more akin to either between Immortality and Stray. But since Immortality is more focused upon the story and not more or less of like, well, it definitely does have a creative vision. I will say that. But in terms of how the simplicity goes and how things went from beginning to end, I really kind of like Stray in this category because it's like you don't know throughout the entirety of this game and stuff like what your I mean your overall thing is like you got to escape from the underworld, like the whole crater stuff and all this underground like post-apocalyptic city to get into like the forest or back into the wild just to get out of that stuff. But how you go through different amount of stuff and what you encounter along the way and stuff, I felt like that was great in terms of just the direction of the game itself. And you had a whole bunch of creative ways you can go through and solve puzzles and this and that as the cat. And like, that's why I kind of feel like Stray is probably the best game direction.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm picking on Mortality, picking Stray. So I mean,
Okay.
it's just one of those things where it's like if you're the win, I can't like you can't really argue it. I feel like so. Um, with last but not least, here we have Game of the Year. So
Finally.
we talked about last week where we were like, what's the six? And we had Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, and Horizon were the three for sure's. I'm like, okay, there's always the indie game and there's always the Nintendo game that get added. So we didn't know what those were, but we rattled off a bunch of indie games, and
Mm,
I don't think either of us had Stray. And our big thing was
no.
like, okay, what's that sixth game gonna be? Um, and man, I'm not happy about it, Gables. A lot of people talk shit about Plague Tale, and I'm like, did you even play that game? Yeah, because fuck off. That game is very good. But we have the Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So speaking of Stray, Stray, taking a lot of strays this week, man. People have just been fucking that game up. With a lot of like, why is that here? And I'm like, it is the odd man out where like there's always that like that indie game that gets the nod. And like I
Yeah.
said, we named off a half dozen games this year. Like, okay, what's the indie game that's gonna get the nod? And it's like I thought for sure it was either gonna be Sifu or Neon White. I thought those were my two that were like what are
Right.
like the indie games that really blew up, like kind of went past like that just weren't in like the gaming bubble, but also kind of grew up. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
Stray is a it's a good game. It's a very good game. Uh,
And you could argue that it actually did blow up upon its
yeah, no,
release because you had other
that's where I
things.
could see it because I think a lot of people probably a lot more people that vote on the nominees probably played it because it's a cat game. So
Yep.
I can I get why it probably was nominated. Um, should it still be nominated in this? This is I would like to go back and look at all the nominees. That's not 2014 because 2014 was just a bad year in general. Uh, and this might be one of the weakest. That might be the weakest game to ever make Game of the Year. And I'm like, I like that game a lot. I really like that game. I beat it in one sitting. Um, but
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement
yeah,
with Stray. In regards to the indie games that were released this year, having that be the nomination, like the indie nomination for Game of the Year, I feel like that doesn't make any type of sense whatsoever. It's, but at the same point, it's like I can understand why that this initially was put there, and that was
yeah,
and was probably mostly due to like
popularity contest.
a lot of the popularity contest stuff going on there. But what I will say in the rest of the list, though, I do agree with. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting the nod here for Game of the Year, like over, like, say, Bayonetta 3 or like any other games that were released this year and stuff. I think that's actually fantastic that it got the nomination for that, for just being nominated for the Game of the Year category for this event because it's a definitely it's definitely like a big high in regards to the series itself. from where it initially came from Xenoblade Chronicles and the sequel and this and that. Great gameplay, story elements and stuff are good from what I have understood. But as in regards to the whole aspect of Game of the Year, I know that Stray and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 are not going to be winning this. And as in
No.
regards to Plague Tale Requiem, as good of a game as it is, from what I've seen from reviews and from hearing what people have talked about it, I don't think that's Game of the Year either. Horizon Forbidden West, unfortunately, is the victim of like having two of the biggest game releases
Yeah.
releasing in the same year as it's released. It got overshadowed, obviously, back
By its own
when
publisher.
by its not yeah by its own publisher quintessentially, right? But even for like the past couple of years, when Horizon Zero Dawn came out, that was overshadowed by Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That ended up becoming a game of the year of a lot of people's
Well,
lists.
Gables, it's the thing I said. I mean, I literally said this the week it came out. What's the thing that Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West have in common? The week after they came out, the highest rated game of all time came out. Breath of the
Yep.
Wild, and then with Horizon Zero Dawn, Elden Ring
Yep.
came out the week
Absolutely.
after. So both those games, not only were they overshadowed in the same year, they overshadowed in the same week that they came out.
With that said, if it had been any other year, this would Horizon Forbidden West, in my honest opinion, would have taken a Game of the Year category.
Oh,
But
okay.
because it's inside of Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok in the same year, and you hit the nail on the head. Elden Ring released the week after Horizon Forbidden West, and it's one of the best rated games on OpenCritic, on Metacritic. It's both Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok have something in common. Is like both of these games are a few of the actual games that were rated 90 and above
Yeah. 95
throughout
and
the entire
94.
year. 95 and 94 respectively. Both are amazing experiences. You've played through the entirety of God of War Ragnarok. I've played through the entirety of Elden Ring. I'm still playing through Ragnarok in and of itself, but I have been highly enjoying what I have been playing and stuff. But here's the thing about this, though. Back when the original God of War 2018 released, that won Game of the Year over Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm.
I'm thinking possibly something like this may happen in regards to this event. So I feel like God of War Ragnarok is going to win this.
Whew. Okay.
I do feel like God of War Ragnarok is going to win this. Even though I do like Elden Ring and wish it would win, my pick is going to go for Ragnarok.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I voted God of War, obviously.
Mhm.
I've beaten 4 of these games.
Mhm.
I really like 4 of these games. 3 of these are top 10 games of my year on my top 10 list. Um, I think it's Elden Ring. If you look at the history of the Game Awards,
Mhm.
um, I mean, it's very rarely is it like it's not. It's usually not the sequel that gets it. Especially like, I mean, 2020 you had Last of Us Part 2, which I mean, I think that was obvious. I think no, there wasn't really a real competition for that one. Um,
Right.
2021, It Takes Two won it. And that game was just entirely different from anything else. And also 2021 wasn't like a
Well, yeah.
super duper great year. Sekiro won it in 2019, but that was also like a weird year as well. But that was probably the best game. 2018 was God of War, like you said. But I mean, God of War came out of nowhere. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere because it's God of War, but like I think from what we anticipated and what we got was just entirely different. 2017 was Breath of the Wild. That was a game changer.
Yep.
Literally a game changer. 2016, I think it was Uncharted 4.
Yeah. It was
But
Uncharted 4.
yeah, technically that was a sequel, but like it was so different from the rest where it's like, this wasn't just like, we're just, it's just like a better, God of War Ragnarok is a great game. It's the greatest game of all time to me. But it built upon its sequel and it made things better. And like, that's kind of the thing about it. It's like We built upon a thing. We made things better. But Elden Ring is literally like we always talk about like the Breath of Wilding it. It's like we talk about like we want the like we like Pokemon. Like okay, this is the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon, and it's like we talk about like we look at like Sonic Frontiers, and I want to find something here. Give me a second here. Bear with me for a minute. Imran Khan, I subscribed to him on Patreon. He had a really good post talking about Sonic Frontiers. I want to find it. Okay. So bear with me because there's a lot here. So he said because like they're kind of speaking out about like Sonic Frontiers are speaking out like, about Breath of the Wild being or about Breath of the Wild kind of like inspiring them like oh this is not a Breath of the Wild game. This Breath of the Wild nothing to do with this. It's kind of what he said. Which first of all, what an actual insane thing to say because basically from this is what they said. The director of the game. From the development team's perspective, they're going out and making an action game. They see Breath of the Wild as a role-playing game. It's not similar at all to the action game that they are making, which this is Imran Khan for the rest of the way. Which, first of all, what an actual insane thing to say. You don't begin and end comparisons at genre, especially when they're as fluid as both Sonic Frontiers and Breath of the Wild. Second, holy shit, this game wants to be Breath of the Wild so bad, and it's so fucking weird that they're just not admitting it. There's musical motives that are identical. The game clearly wants to ape one of the best games of all time, and I don't get why they're running away from that. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't get why they are running away from that comparison other than having to admit it doesn't match up. Honestly, more games should take influence from each other, and they should be should do it openly. The idea that ideas have to spring completely uninfluenced from someone's brain to be good is specific only to creating video games. We don't tear down a movie for being influenced by Scorsese or a book for smelling a bit too much like F. Scott Fitzgerald. If we admit these influences, we can also probably start applying them better. Sonic Frontiers apes a lot of Zelda's superficial aspects, but doesn't take the influence to heart to rethink the fundamentals of Sonic. That's what a Breath of the Wild moment for the series should mean, not soft piano music over a sweeping vista. And we hear that, and that's the kind of thing we talk about. We talk about like when we talk about like the first time we saw Pokemon Legends Arceus, that first trailer we got. It was just a ripoff of the Breath of the Wild. Like they showed they showed the vista. They played the little piano notes. Like okay, that reminds me of Breath of the Wild. Which hey, I like Breath of the Wild, so hey, I'm gonna like this. Elden Ring didn't just rip off Breath of the Wild. They said, hey, let's make an Elden Ring game. Well, let's make a FromSoft game. If it were Breath of the Wild, and they did that. They didn't just make a Breath of the Wild game. They made their style of game that if it were made by the Nintendo people that made Breath of the Wild. And it's one of the greatest games of all time. I didn't like that game, and I'm willing to admit that. I'm willing to admit those type of things. And I've said all year long, I've known that this would be the matchup. God of War versus Elden Ring. And I apologize, Imran Khan, for reading your Patreon article, part of it, live on air. I apologize that, but it was so good. I had to repeat it. But yeah, like they didn't just rip off Breath of the Wild. They were inspired by it and they made their own thing out of it. They built upon Breath of the Wild and made it better.
Absolutely.
To me, like, I want God of War Ragnarok to win, obviously, but it has to be Elden Ring. It has to be.
That's my
prediction. So, but yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, that went a lot longer than I thought. I thought this was gonna take us like 40 minutes. So, we're like an hour and a half in. So yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening to all this. Please check back in a few days. We'll be back with a normal episode. We'll be talking about Gables, and I'll have more time to play Pokemon. Hopefully I'll have more time to play some other games as well. And whatever news happened, we got Thanksgiving, so who knows what the fuck's going on in gaming, if anything. But please check us back out in a few days. Like, follow, subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Look at the descriptions down below. You see all the links to Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff. So please, like I said, like, follow, subscribe, share, tell your friends. All that would really help us out. I was host Tyler.
I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, play some fun games, and thank you for listening in to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
Thanks,
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.